Drew's discovery, the truth behind the shooting that will change Port Charles forever. The aftermath of Drew Cain's shocking shooting continues to send ripples through Port Charles. But what emerges next will leave residents stunned. As Drew recovers from his life-threatening injuries, new evidence surfaces that will dramatically alter the course of the investigation and potentially change the landscape of Port Charles permanently. Drew pieces together the puzzle. Drew Cain's determination to uncover his would-be killer's identity has intensified since regaining consciousness at General Hospital, while police detective Dante Falconeri continues his methodical investigation, examining suspects ranging from Michael Corinthos to Alexis Davis. Drew has been conducting his own private inquiry from his hospital bed. The congressman's sharp political instincts, honed through years of navigating Washington's treacherous waters, have served him well in analyzing the clues surrounding his attack. Despite initially claiming to have no memory of the shooting, Drew has been carefully studying the timeline of events and the people who had both motive and opportunity. Sources close to the investigation reveal that Dante provided Drew with certain details about the ongoing case, including witness statements and preliminary forensic evidence. While the detective intended these briefings to help jog Drew's memory, they instead gave the congressman crucial pieces of information that allowed him to reach his own conclusions. The shocking revelation. What Drew discovered through his analysis will send shockwaves through Port Charles. Based on the evidence patterns, witness testimonies, and his intimate knowledge of the key players' motivations, Drew has concluded that Nina Reeves was the one who pulled the trigger that September night. The realization didn't come easily. Drew initially considered other suspects, including Michael Corinthos, who had been publicly named by authorities as a person of interest. However, as Drew methodically eliminated other possibilities, all roads led back to Nina, the woman with whom he had shared an intimate relationship. Just months earlier, Nina's desperation to protect her daughter Willow from Drew's manipulative influence had reached a breaking point. Her previous warning that she would see him dead if he hurt Willow now takes on ominous new meaning. The affair's exposure on Willow's wedding day had destroyed Nina's relationship with her daughter, and she blamed Drew entirely for the devastation. Drew's strategic decision. Rather than immediately alerting authorities to his conclusion, Drew has chosen to handle this revelation privately. His decision reflects both his calculating political nature and his complex feelings toward Nina. Despite their affair ending badly, Drew understands the maternal desperation that drove Nina to such extreme measures. This strategic silence also serves Drew's broader interests. Going public with his suspicions would inevitably lead to Nina's arrest and trial, creating a media circus that would further damage his already controversial reputation in Port Charles. More importantly, it would permanently destroy any chance of rebuilding his relationship with Willow, who despite everything, still represents his path back to respectability. The private confrontation. Drew's opportunity to confront Nina comes when she visits him at the hospital, ostensibly to check on his recovery. The encounter, witnessed only by the two of them, becomes a pivotal moment that will reshape both their futures. "I know it was you, Nina," Drew states matter-of-factly, his voice carrying the weight of certainty. The color drains from Nina's face as she realizes her worst fears have materialized. Drew's sharp intellect, the same quality that made him a formidable congressman, has unraveled her carefully constructed facade. Nina's immediate reaction is one of terror mixed with resignation. She had hoped that Drew's initial memory loss might be permanent, protecting her from discovery. Now faced with the reality that her secret is exposed, she finds herself completely at Drew's mercy. "Please," Nina pleads, her voice breaking with desperation. "Don't go to the police. I can't go to prison. Willow has already lost so much because of my mistakes." Drew's ultimate bargain. Drew's response reveals both his pragmatic nature and his ongoing obsession with maintaining control over his destiny in Port Charles. Rather than seeking traditional justice, he presents Nina with an ultimatum that serves his own interests, while offering her a path to freedom. "There's only one way this stays between us," Drew explains coldly. "You leave Port Charles forever. Disappear from Willow's life, from Sunny's world, from everything here. Make a clean break and never return." The proposition strikes at the heart of everything Nina values most. Her connections to Willow, her business interests. Her entire life has been built in Port Charles over the years. Yet the alternative, facing charges for attempted murder and potentially spending decades in prison, makes Drew's offer her only viable escape route. Nina's agonizing choice. Nina's acceptance of Drew's terms comes after hours of anguished consideration. Her love for Willow, ironically the same emotion that drove her to violence, now compels her to sacrifice their relationship to avoid bringing further shame upon her daughter. "I'll leave," she agrees tearfully, "but this will destroy whatever chance Willow and I had of reconciling." Drew's response is characteristically unsentimental. "You destroyed that chance the night you shot me. This just makes it official." Nina's departure preparations begin immediately. Her decision to liquidate her assets and sever all ties to Port Charles sends ripples of confusion through the community. Friends and business associates struggle to understand her sudden exodus, unaware of the deadly secret driving her actions. Willow's bewilderment. Willow's reaction to her mother's abrupt departure adds another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama. Having already severed their relationship due to Nina's affair with Drew, Willow initially views the departure as vindication of her anger. However, as days pass, Willow begins experiencing unexpected emotions about Nina's absence. The finality of her mother's departure forces her to confront the reality that their relationship may truly be over forever. This realization comes at a time when Willow is already struggling with the aftermath of her failed engagement and custody battles. The timing of Nina's departure also coincides with Willow's growing recognition of Drew's true nature. As more details emerge about his manipulation and blackmail schemes, Willow begins to understand that her mother may have been another victim of Drew's machinations. The path to reconciliation. With Nina removed from the equation and Drew's villainous nature fully exposed, the obstacles preventing a Willow-Michael reconciliation begin to diminish. Michael's protective instincts toward his children and his deep-seated resentment over Willow's affair remain significant hurdles, but the changed dynamics offer new possibilities. Willow's growing regret over her choices, combined with her recognition of how Drew manipulated her emotions, creates an opening for meaningful dialogue with Michael. The shared experience of being Drew's victims provides common ground for the former couple to begin rebuilding trust. Michael's own journey toward forgiveness is complicated by his relationship with Sasha and his intense focus on protecting his children. However, as Willow demonstrates genuine remorse and takes concrete steps to distance herself from Drew's influence, Michael may find himself reconsidering their future. The investigation continues. Meanwhile, Dante's official investigation continues. Unaware of the private justice that has already been served, the detective methodically pursues leads and interviews suspects, building a case against an unknown perpetrator who has already fled Port Charles. Drew's decision to withhold crucial information from law enforcement creates an interesting ethical dilemma. While he has achieved his desired outcome, Nina's removal from Port Charles and the protection of his own secrets, justice in the traditional sense remains unserved. The broader Port Charles community continues to speculate about the shooting, with various theories circulating about potential suspects and motives. The truth, known only to Drew and the departed Nina, remains hidden beneath layers of political calculation and personal vendettas. Long-term consequences. Nina's forced exile from Port Charles creates a vacuum that will have lasting effects on multiple storylines. Her departure impacts not only Willow but also Sonny, with whom she had maintained complex relationships throughout their time together. The resolution also positions Drew as someone who operates outside traditional justice systems, using private knowledge to achieve personal objectives rather than seeking legal remedies. This character development reinforces his image as a calculating politician who prioritizes control over conventional morality. For Willow and Michael, Nina's absence removes a significant complicating factor from their potential reconciliation. Without Nina's influence and with Drew's true nature exposed, they may have the space needed to rebuild their relationship on more honest foundations. The shooting case officially remains unsolved, adding to Port Charles's collection of mysteries while demonstrating that sometimes private justice takes precedence over public accountability. Drew's recovery and return to political life, unburdened by the threat of his attacker's continued presence, positions him for whatever machinations he may pursue next. This dramatic resolution showcases how personal relationships, political calculations, and moral compromises interweave in Port Charles, creating storylines that resonate with viewers, while advancing character development in unexpected directions. The consequences of this private justice will undoubtedly influence future storylines, as characters adapt to the new reality Nina's departure has created. Next, we will learn about the intense grudges and looming confrontations that could shake up Port Charles once again. In the ever-twisting world of General Hospital, Lulu Spencer has long established herself as a force not to be trifled with, especially when it comes to those who cross her path. Her reputation for unleashing fierce retaliation against adversaries is legendary, often leaving a trail of emotional wreckage in her wake. Think back to that unforgettable nurses' ball spectacle, where tensions boiled over in a public showdown that no one saw coming. It all started when Lulu zeroed in on Lois Trullo, accusing her of harboring explosive secrets about Giovanni Palmieri's true parentage. The air was thick with anticipation as Lulu laid bare the shocking truth that Joe was actually the biological child of Brook Lynn Quartermain and Dante Falconeri. This revelation wasn't just a whisper in the shadows. It exploded onto the stage like a dramatic crescendo in a symphony of secrets. Joe, caught completely off guard, reacted with raw devastation, his world crumbling in front of the entire audience. In a moment of pure anguish, he shattered his prized violin against the floor, the splintering wood echoing through the hall. As he screamed out the painful details of his abandonment, he accused Dante and Brook Lynn of giving him up as an infant, claiming they had never wanted him or shown him any love. Before storming off in a haze of fury and tears, the crowd was left in stunned silence, jaws dropped, and eyes wide, with Lulu herself appearing momentarily taken aback by the intensity of the fallout. This incident highlighted Lulu's unyielding pursuit of justice, or what she perceives as such, driving her to expose hidden truths without hesitation, even if it means upending lives in the process. Building on that chaos, Brook Lynn's reaction was nothing short of volcanic, her face twisting into a mask of betrayal and rage toward her longtime rival. As someone who had clashed with Lulu on multiple occasions over the years, Brook Lynn saw this as the ultimate betrayal, vowing to exact her own form of payback that could rival any soap opera revenge plot. The irony deepened the drama. Throughout the entire ordeal, Brook Lynn had been blissfully unaware that Joe was her own flesh and blood, a detail that Lulu either overlooked or deliberately ignored in her quest for exposure. Lulu's determination was like a relentless storm, pushing her to dismantle the web of deception surrounding Dante, piece by piece, until the truth lay bare for all to see. She dug into records, questioned allies, and pieced together clues with the precision of a seasoned detective, all while the emotional stakes escalated. This wasn't just about righting a wrong. It was Lulu's way of protecting her family and ensuring that no secret could threaten the bonds she held dear. Adding a fresh layer to this narrative, imagine if Lulu had uncovered additional hints during her investigation, like forgotten letters or hidden photographs, that painted an even more complex picture of Gio's early days, further fueling her resolve to bring everything into the light. Now, shifting gears to the present, whispers in Port Charles suggest that a notorious group known as the Five Poppies Gang is making their way back to town, stirring up old wounds and potential new battles. This enigmatic crew, including the resilient Britt Westburn, the stoic Jason Morgan, the fiery Jocelyn Jacks, and the mysterious Vaughn, carries with them a history laced with intrigue and unfinished business. Lulu, true to form, doesn't entertain half measures when dealing with those she views as threats. Her approach is all-out warfare, marked by sharp words and calculated moves that leave no room for mercy. Her grudges burn deep, forged in the fires of past betrayals, and she's known to channel that energy into actions that can alter the course of lives. To understand the depth of this animosity, we have to rewind to a darker chapter in Lulu's life, one involving stolen dreams and shattered trust. Years ago, Britt orchestrated a heinous act by secretly taking Lulu and Dante's embryo, carrying the child to term, and claiming the Babracco Falconeri as her own. This deception robbed Lulu of precious early moments with her son, creating a void that time has only partially healed. Recently, Lulu and Dante sat down with Rocco to reveal the complicated truth of his origins, a conversation heavy with emotion and lingering pain. They described the medical mix-ups, the legal battles that followed, and the heartfelt journey to reclaim their family. For Dante, it was a moment of vulnerability, admitting the helplessness he felt during those trying times, while Lulu's eyes likely welled with the unresolved anger that still simmers beneath the surface. One can only picture the weight of that discussion, with Rocco processing the news amid hugs and reassurances. Yet it underscores Lulu's capacity for holding onto resentment like a tightly clenched fist. Envisioning Britt's potential return, it's easy to foresee Lulu's protective instincts kicking into overdrive, especially if Britt dares to approach Rocco. Lulu's wrath would be swift and unforgiving, a maternal storm unleashed to safeguard her child from any perceived danger. In the latest previews for General Hospital, Lulu's expression mirrors the shock Jocelyn displayed upon spotting Brit, wide-eyed disbelief, as if confronting a specter from the grave. This reaction isn't mere surprise. It's the ignition of a deep-seated vendetta that Lulu rarely sets aside. She's not one for second chances. Once you've crossed her, you're marked for life, with forgiveness as rare as a quiet day in Port Charles. The sole exception in her book is her steadfast best friend, Maxie Jones, whose loyalty has earned her a permanent pass through even the stormiest conflicts. Expanding on this dynamic, perhaps Lulu's bond with Maxie stems from shared hardships, like joint investigations or mutual support during crises, making it a relationship built on unbreakable trust. With Brit back in the picture, Lulu's aversion runs deep. She wants no part of this woman encroaching on her family territory, particularly when it comes to Rocco. We could speculate on Lulu mobilizing her resources, maybe rallying allies or digging up old evidence to build an impenetrable barrier. Taking it a step further, Lulu might harness her skills as an investigative journalist to craft a blistering expose, dredging up every detail of Brit's past misdeeds against her and Dante. Picture her at her desk, typing furiously, weaving in timelines, witness accounts, and perhaps even newly invented angles like anonymous tips that paint Brit in an even harsher light. This article could splash across local headlines, reigniting public outrage and pressuring Brit to reconsider her presence in town. Interestingly, while Lulu has managed to let go of her feud with Lisa Lebrecht, Brit's formidable mother, through a series of uneasy truces and shared moments of humanity, the same olive branch doesn't extend to Brit herself. Liesel's eccentric personality and occasional acts of redemption might have softened Lulu's stance, but Brit's direct role in birthing Rocco and denying Lulu those initial bonding experiences remains an unforgivable sin. To add depth, imagine if Lulu reflects on missed milestones, like Rocco's first smile or steps, fueling a narrative of loss that she channels into her protective fervor. Yet, Brit has evolved into a more formidable figure, hardened by her own trials and no longer the type to flee at the first sign of conflict. She's built a network of supporters, and we can anticipate Jason stepping in as her defender, drawing from their complicated history where he's seen her vulnerable side moments of quiet compassion amid the chaos. Jason's loyalty could manifest in quiet interventions, perhaps warning Lulu to back off or providing Brit with strategic advice to navigate the turmoil. Even more intriguingly, Carly Spencer might unexpectedly join the fray on Brit's behalf, empathizing with the burden of past errors under constant judgment. Carly's own life is a tapestry of mistakes and comebacks, from business scandals to personal heartbreaks, giving her a unique perspective on redemption. She could approach Lulu with a candid talk, urging her to consider the gray areas of forgiveness, though Lulu's single-minded focus might render such pleas ineffective. In this brewing storm, Lulu appears poised to go to extraordinary lengths, perhaps enlisting legal aid or community support to ensure Brit stays far from Rocco's orbit. Adding a creative twist, what if Lulu uncovers a hidden connection between the Five Poppies gang and an old Port Charles mystery, using it as leverage to force Brit's departure? The stage is set for explosive encounters, where old grudges collide with new alliances, promising viewers a roller coaster of drama that only General Hospital can deliver. As these storylines unfold, keep tuning in to see if Lulu's vengeance prevails or if unexpected twists lead to unlikely reconciliations.